Here I'm starting to tiller this bowl a little bit. I got to the point where it bends just a little bit. It's still way heavy though. So what I've been doing is, I started out scraping to thin out the limb, and that's just taking too long with this Osage. Whitewoods, it goes pretty easy, and you can take a lot more material off. This stuff's hard stuff, so I went and, what I've been doing is marking it with my pencil, and then hitting it with the file. And I went through, before I did anything, and made sure that the limbs are even from side to side. And then I go through and I make a pencil mark all along here and on the sides. And then I'll come back with the file after that and take that off. Do the same to the other side. Sometimes I do it a couple times. And then I come back and see what kind of weight I'm pulling it. I've got the bow bending a little more after about 4 passes. So that's what I'm doing now. A couple things to remember when you're tillering. Never ever pull your bow harder than you want the final weight to be. And never pull it back after it's braced, obviously. Never pull it back further than you want your eventual draw length to be. If you do either of those, it makes your bow take set and then lose cast. And your arrows aren't going to go as good or far. So that's what I'm doing again. Off to file these marks off, and then I'll do that and I'll see what the weight is, and I'll keep doing that until I get to where I can start bending it more comfortably. Here's the Osage so far. I got it at a low brace. I just kept reducing it. What I did is I was going to just scrape it like I normally do, but it's so hard. Osage is so hard, so what I've been doing is to reduce it, I just kept putting a pencil along the whole limb, making sure the whole limb was covered with pencil, and then I'd reduce it with the fine side of my rasp here, and it would just take off a little bit, and I'd do it again, and then I'd pull the bow over a bunch of times with the long string and see if it would bend, you know, how the bend was coming along. And I did that everywhere until I got to this point. And now what I've been doing is, I'm still using this rasp and the pencil, but I don't use a tillering stick at this point. What I do is I take it and I'll flex the limb like that and look down it. Ooh, then you can flip over. That's not good for the bow. Then you can flip it over and do the same with the other side. By doing that, I can see the limb bending and how far it bends and where it needs to be. My wood needs to be removed and everything. Right now, I got them at pretty much an even bend when drawn. So I'm just taking off on the belly here a little bit. When I use my calipers, this is thin up here and this is thicker down here, and you can tell by the bend that that's the case too. So I've just been removing wood here slowly. What I'm going to do now is, instead of just pulling it over, it's at a low brace, so I'm gonna go shoot a bunch of arrows through it and see where the tiller is after that. So I mean, that's what the limb looks like now. So I'll go over and shoot it, and we'll see what it looks like afterwards. One other thing, I tried putting tips on with 5-minute epoxy, and don't do it. I lost the tip yesterday, and I had to clean it up and put it back on, type on 3. So far so good. But the other tip I couldn't get off, the one that I put on with the epoxy. So I still have one with epoxy. This one, so far so good. But I'm just kind of preparing myself for that to come off. Hopefully it won't. But I'm going to shoot it in, see if it will. See if that will come off, see if this limb will bend around a little bit. And then after I shoot it in, I'll go back and then I'll check the tiller and start removing more wood. Alright, I went and shot about a dozen arrows through it, and then I went and pulled it over probably about another 40 times. Just shot it about half draw, pulled it over about 3/4 draw, just to exercise the wood. One thing I didn't say before is every time you take wood off, or every few times, depending on your method, that you take wood off, you have to exercise your bow, meaning after you take your wood off, you know, pull it back 20, 30, 40 times. You know, you really can't do it too many, but not to full draw if your bow is too heavy. You know, just, you can feel it in the bow. Just, you know, exercise it a bit. But I was hoping this limb would come around a little bit, and I don't think it did. So I'll show you what I've been doing to reduce this limb. What I do is that I'll take it and I'll look down the edge, and I can see when I do that I have a flat spot right here. So I take my pencil and I'll make it pencil marks here. And again, I'll put lines on the edges, put light pencil marks with X's so I don't have to do that. And then I can see that this needs to be reduced a bit too, so it'll come around a little bit. So I do that, I put pencil marks on it, knowing that I get my file across it even. I'll do these two spots, and I'll do it again. I usually do it a couple times, and then I'll pull it in and exercise the bow a bunch to see how that changes the bend of the limb here. So that's what I'm doing next. Fine side on there, and take the pencil off. I'll write them on there again, then I'll take the pencil off again, then I'll pull it in. And when I'm doing this, at this point I'm doing circular motions because I don't want to leave any file marks in it. And I'm just taking off the pencil. After that pencil disappears, I'm not trying to go any further. Then here where I put my X, I won't touch that. Put another X here, I won't touch that. And I'll just take this little spot off. And then I'll do it again. And then I'll test that, I'll exercise the bow and see if it wants to bend a little bit more for me.